Hello and welcome. This is Christina Hills from the Website Creation Workshop, and welcome to this training on the 5 productivity tips for working faster and smarter online. And this is a free webinar with me, Christina Hills. And if you are not familiar with me, I am a WordPress coach and teacher. I've been teaching WordPress for over 10 years in my program called the Website Creation Workshop. So here's what we're going to do today. I've got a training with lots of slides. I like to teach with pictures. It makes it easier to understand if you show a picture. I'll be doing live demos, so I'll be going from my PowerPoint to live demos, back to PowerPoint, back to live demos, and then I'll be answering your questions at the end of the call. And also, you'll definitely want to stay to the end because I'll have this PDF tips sheet. It's a one-page sheet that you can then download, and it will have the info that I'm teaching you today. All right, so I'm just going to jump right in with productivity tip number 1. Use multiple browsers when you work. All right, so what is a browser? So when you open up your computer, either a laptop or a desktop, the way you connect to the internet is through a web browser. And Macs and PCs both use browsers. So what do you use? Why don't you type in the chat on the webinar? Are you on a Mac or are you on a PC? And it doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of curious of what people are on, and it's looking like about half Mac, half PC. Maybe a few more people on the PC. Nope, it's looking 50-50. Well, it doesn't matter. You know, these days, whether you're on a Mac or a PC doesn't matter. Some people use both. And devices, right? No matter if it's a Mac or a PC, a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, a smartphone, iPhone, or Droid, they all use browsers to connect to the internet. All right, so which browser should you use? So I'm going to be talking about browsers for a minute. Which browser should you use? Well, I took some screenshots of my website in different browsers. So here it is in Chrome, and this was taken a couple of years ago. My site in Chrome, my site in Firefox, it looks pretty similar. My site in Safari, Safari looks a little bit different. And Safari is what Mac people tend to use a lot. And then here's a screenshot of my site as it was in Internet Explorer, which I don't use anymore. Internet Explorer came loaded on PCs, and they got rid of it, and now they have Edge. And I'll talk more about this in a little bit. All right, so we're talking about browsers, and I want to explain why you should have multiple browsers. And the reason is the same website can look different in various browsers. And as you can see, the people on the webinar today are all using different browsers. And some websites work better in a certain browser. So sometimes I'll try to log into a site and it's not working, and I'll call tech support and they'll tell me to try Chrome. And mainly when it comes to website building, if you have multiple browsers, you can have an admin view and a visitor view at the same time. And I'm going to explain what that is. So when, I teach the Website Creation Workshop, and sometimes my students want to have a coming soon or under construction on their site. So this was one of my students. This was a while ago while she was still building. And she had this coming soon. So when people went to her site, they wouldn't be able to see what she was building. But while it's under construction or coming soon for other people, she was able to log in and view it in another browser. So Here's another example of a coming soon. So I have this site called myfavoriteplugins.com, and it shows a coming soon on the outside. But then on the inside, when I log in, that's me logged in working on it, but I don't want people to see it while I'm working on it. I hope this is making sense. So in one browser, I can see what it looks like outside to the world, and then in another browser, I can log in and work and build on my site while people don't see it. If you don't have a second browser, you can download one for free. So these are the different browsers you can download, and I'm going to show you where to go to get them. So Chrome, you go to google.com/Chrome. Chrome is a free browser from Google, and it runs really fast, and it is probably the most popular browser right now. I do use it. I tend to like Firefox a little bit more. So if you don't have Firefox and you want Firefox, you just go to getfirefox.com and it will explain how to download it. And you download a little bit differently if you're on a Mac or a PC. But when you go to getfirefox.com, it will help you figure that out. And downloading Safari, you just go to this long link, and don't worry about memorizing these links. You can just Google where to find it. And then Edge, again, I used to use Internet Explorer. I stopped using Internet Explorer because it didn't really work that great for WordPress, and I became a fan of Firefox, and so I stopped using it. So if you're going to download it for Windows 10, it looks like this, or for Windows 7, it looks like this. But you don't have to worry about it. If you forget the links that I just gave you, all these different links, just Google, download Firefox, download Chrome, and it will then give you the place to download it. I don't have Safari on my PC. I'm not sure if it's available or not, but that is what Mac people use. All right, if you're listening to me and you're thinking, oh gosh, Christina, I don't know if I want to get into downloading another browser right now, you're going to love this. This is another method that you can use, which is using a private window, sometimes called Incognito. So have you heard of private windows? Just type in the chat. Have you heard of a private window or an incognito window? So this is cool. You will like this, especially if you're building a WordPress site. And if you're not yet building a WordPress site, I've got a class coming up soon. All right, let me explain what this is, and I will demo this as well. If you are using Firefox, you go to File, New Private Window, and that will pop open an incognito private window. And you're probably wondering, well, why do I want to have a private window? That's because if you want to view something not logged in, you can view it from a private window. I think this will make more sense when I start to demo it. If you're using Chrome, on the right-hand side of Chrome are three little dots, and you can say New Incognito Window. And then it will pop up like this, and you can browse the internet. So when you're in a private window or an incognito window, Chrome won't save your history, your cookies. It won't save anything. It's being able to go to a website without the browser knowing who you are. All right, so let me go ahead and get out of PowerPoint and demo multiple browsers and incognito windows. out here and let me come over here. All right, so here I am on my blog, and let me close that. Here I am on my favorite plugins, and I'm building this site. It's not available to the public, but I want to see what it will look like if I'm not logged in. So I can bring up Chrome and I can paste this in. So this is what it looks like. So if you go to myfavoriteplugins.com, you'll just see a coming soon. That's all that it shows. But if I want to work on it, I will log in. So this is, let me make this a little bit smaller. So this is Chrome, this is Firefox. Now let's say you're like, okay, well, I don't want to bother with Chrome. I just have one browser right now. You can say File, New Private Window, and then paste this in. And because this is a private window, it's not storing anything. So private window doesn't know who I am. So that is what a private window is. Let me show you how you get it on Chrome. Am I going too fast? Just type in the chat if I'm going too fast. So I want to say new private window. Up here on the top, it's Incognito. So if you're in Chrome, it's Incognito, and you do it with the 3 dots, and it looks like this. So now I can visit a website, and it won't track me. But, you know, I like it when things track me and save my passwords and all that. But sometimes you want to view something that it doesn't know who you are. So hopefully that makes sense. So that was, let me make this smaller. So that was a demo of using this is Chrome, this is Firefox versus Incognito. Let me get back to my PowerPoint. Okay. Well, what I want to do is I want to get through my content and then have more time for Q&A so I can review these things. And I will be reviewing what I did as I go along. All right. Productivity tip number 2 is to use tabbed browsing. Right? So what is the problem that tabbed browsing fixes? It's the problem with multiple windows. As you saw when I had the 2 browsers open, I kept moving them around and bringing them up and bringing them down. And so it's awkward to work when you are sitting down at your desk and you're wanting to get some things done. Maybe you've got a calendar up, maybe you've got a webinar you're going to go to, maybe you're Googling some things, and having to move these windows around is not easy. So the solution is tabbed browsing. So let me explain what that is. Tabbed browsing enhances your productivity because I can have one browser open, but see I have little tabs. They kind of look like file folders in a file cabinet. And so you can open websites in a new tab, and it lets you come back to the website you were originally on. So instead of moving these different windows around, you just click between the different tabs, and I'm going to demo that. When building a website, I often have one tab which is in the dashboard, and then another tab which is outside what the visitors will see. So inside and outside, I use different tabs. And here are some tabbed browsing shortcuts, and you're going to get these shortcuts in the PDF. To open a new tab on a PC, it's Control T. on a Mac, it's Apple Command T, and that's the funny squiggly thing on your keyboard on a Mac. To switch between tabs is Control Tab, or to close a tab is Control W. But tabbed browsing gets even better. You can pin your tabs for faster efficiency. So what does that look like? So this is a productivity tip. What does that look like? When you pin it, then it takes up less real estate on your browser. So these little ones are pinned tabs. They don't move. And then these are bigger regular tabs. And again, stay till the end when I'm going to give you the URL for the PDF tips sheet. Right, so let me demo tabbed browsing and pinned tabs. Get out of PowerPoint. I think I will lower this. All right, so right now I'm looking at my favoriteplugins.com. I'm logged in, and I'm going to open a new tab, and I'll go to Website Creation Workshop. And then maybe in this tab, I'll go to Facebook. So I've got different tabs open up here. And let's see, let's go to Website Creation Workshop. And I'll go to the free webinar. And that automatically opened in a tab. And this is the webinar for today. So I have these different tabs. So before, I was bringing the second browser up, and then I was minimizing it and sort of, moving things around. But having a tab makes it a lot easier, because then I can just switch between whatever it is that I'm working on. So if you want to have a second tab open, you say Control T, and Control T will open up a new tab. And that shortcut, and I'll talk more about shortcuts, works in both Firefox and Chrome. They all work the same. So let's say I'm going to stay in Facebook all day long while I'm doing other work. I right click and I say Pin Tab, and it moves it to the end. So let's say I'm going to work on this all day. I can say Pin Tab. So these stay pinned up here. These other tabs I can move around. So I can open this one up, and maybe I want to go to Google. So I'm going to Google. So you might have a tab open for your email, a tab open for your calendar, a tab open for your website, whatever it is, a tab open to do some research. This is tabbed browsing, and then right clicking and pinning it, and sorry I can't zoom in on this, we'll pin it to the end. And you can't, oh yeah, I guess you can move the pin tabs. I didn't realize that. But they all stay at the left. So that is tabbed browsing with pinned tabs. Now let me make sure I didn't forget anything else I wanted to cover in this demo. Nope, I think I'm going to keep going, and I can circle back at the Q&A part. So let me get back to my PowerPoint. And I will keep going. And I'll be able to take your questions at the end. So some of these questions I'm kind of answering while I'm going, and then more I'll be able to answer at the end. All right, productivity tip number 3, bookmark popular sites. So you want to bookmark your sites for faster surfing. As you are surfing the internet, if you have bookmarks, it makes working much easier. So what are bookmarks? They're also called favorites or shortcuts. It's a way to save your favorite frequently used website for easy access. It can be shown in the Bookmarks toolbar or Bookmarks menu section, allowing you to visit a site with a click instead of having to type in the URL. So you want to bookmark frequently used websites. And for every person, whatever the frequently used website is going to be a little bit different. So let me demo this, and you can see here the way it works is you drag the URL down to the toolbar and it bookmarks it. So let me go in and demo how to do a bookmark. So I'm going to come out of here and first I have to turn on my bookmarks. So if you're in Firefox, view the toolbar, and I want to make sure my bookmarks toolbar is turned on. And you can see I already have a lot of bookmarks here. And if I get too many up here, then I click this double arrow on the right hand side and I see my extra bookmarks. Let me look at this in Chrome. I have a few bookmarks here. So let's say I go to Google all the time, right? So I'm at google.com. And if I want to bookmark this, well, let me first show it in Firefox. So I use Firefox the most. So let me go to Google. So if I didn't want to type this and I wanted it to show up in my bookmarks, I click on this and I drag it down to where I want it to go. So now it says Google. So here is LinkedIn. So I just click and I go to LinkedIn. I didn't have to type that. Or if I want to go to Twitter, I click and I go to Twitter because this is my bookmarks toolbar. So view toolbar. Now, people are probably wondering, why does Christina like Firefox better than Chrome? Well, the answer is kind of silly. I really like having this menu at the very, very top, and Chrome doesn't have that. So I always find it like just a little disorienting to remember, and I'll probably botch this up. Bookmarks, show bookmarks bar. So there's my bookmarks bar. So see, it doesn't have that little toolbar thingy, this at the very top. That is why I like Firefox better. But Chrome is the superior, so they say, browser. All right, so let's say I want to have Google on my bookmarks, and see, I haven't used up all the spaces here. So you click on the URL and you drag it where you want it to go. So there's Google. This is one of my classrooms. Aweber's what I use. Google Calendar. So this is my bookmarks toolbar. My website creation workshop classroom is over here in one of my bookmarks, and I can click to get to the classroom. So if you're in the website creation workshop with me, you should just drag down the training area. And let's say you want to rename something. You can right click and you can go edit. I'm in Chrome and I can put WCW class. So you can name this whatever you want. So let me come back over to Firefox. See, I was running out of spaces, so instead of saying Twitter, I just put TW. For Pinterest, I just put P. Google Plus, that's gone away. Yep, it's no longer available. All right, so it disappeared. So let's say you've got a bookmark you don't want anymore. You right click and just say delete. It won't delete the website, it'll just delete that bookmark. So it's deleted the bookmark. So for everybody, it's going to be different. What sites you want to go to, where do you go often, and it just helps you for not having to type in the whole URL. So instead of typing websitecreationworkshop.com, I have a bookmark over here that just takes me there. And I use Firefox and Chrome. I don't have Safari on this computer. I don't have Edge on this computer, so it'll be a little bit different for each person. But as you can see right here, I do have more spaces for more bookmarks. But over here, I've used them all up, so I started putting little abbreviations. So that is bookmarks, and you can view the toolbars and you can turn on and off the bookmarks if you want to see them or don't want to see them. All right, let me get back and we will have plenty of time for me to answer questions at the end. Okay. Productivity tip number 4 is to memorize some browser shortcuts. So what are browser shortcuts? And when I first learned this, it blew my mind. Like, I was working on a computer, I had no idea there were shortcuts, which are keystrokes that lets you memorize to do things faster, such as searching, copying and pasting, zooming in and zooming out. So you don't have to memorize this because this will be in your tips sheet. So Control F, I probably use this one the most. It's to find some text on the screen. Control A is to select text, Control C is to copy, Control V is to paste. It's very similar for a Mac. These are PC commands, and when you see this little arrow up, that means control, and I will definitely demo this. Then there's Control plus to zoom in, Control minus to zoom out, Control 0 to get back to the beginning for zooming in and out, and Control L to get to the top of the browser window. And then Control T to open a new tab, Control Tab to switch between tabs, and I don't use that very often. But, this can be handy. Sometimes maybe your mouse isn't working. And Control W to close a tab. So I know if you're on a Mac, like, your mouse runs out of its batteries and then you can't do anything, so knowing these browser shortcuts helps. And these browser shortcuts are all in the tips sheet, and I'll give that URL out at the end. So now what I want to do is demo some of these browser shortcuts. So let me get out and let me go here. I'll go over to the blog. And let's say, I'll start with the first one. Let's say you want to find some text on the screen. So let's say there's some text. So let's say I want to, I'll find some text. So I say Control F, and when I do that, it opens this at the bottom of my computer. So I'm on Firefox, Control F, and I'll type in Classic Editor. So if you want to find some words on a page, you say Control F. And then with this little arrow, I see on this page there's 2 instances of this. If I go over here, and let's come over here, I'll do the same thing. I don't have a bookmark for Website Creation Workshop, so let me do that. Websitecreationworkshop.com. I'll go to my blog. Oh, I guess I did have it. Well, I can show it again. I'm going to click and drag, so I'm bookmarking it, and see how this is kind of long. It's taking up a lot of space. So I'm going to right click and say Edit. I'm in Chrome now, and I'll just say blog, because that's my blog. All right, so now I'm going to do a Control F, and it appears up here. So in Chrome, Control F appears up here, which actually makes more sense to me. On Firefox, you do Control F, and it appears down here in the lower left. So Firefox Control F is to find something. The search tool will show up in the lower left, and Chrome, it's up here. So if I type in editor, and I can keep hitting the enter key, and it's showing me the two places on this page where I find that word. You can do it here for an article. So you're basically using the browser to find something. So let me do Control F and type in GoDaddy. And I can see all the instances, and I'm hitting my enter key of where GoDaddy is listed on the page. So Control F is really pretty handy. All right, let's say you want to select all of this. So I'm going to teach you the second one, which was Control A to select a text. So Control A will copy, or Apple command will copy, and then I can, let's say I want to look at this article in Firefox. I'm opening a new tab now, Control V. So this is basic copy and paste. Control A will select. Control A will select the text. Control C will copy, and then Control V will paste. And I think, let's see, cut and paste tips.com. A friend of mine, if you don't know how to cut and paste, he's got this little video on how to do more cut and paste. All right, so that was copying and pasting and selecting. Now let's go to zooming. So if you hit Control plus, I'm hitting Control plus, and I'm zooming way in on my site. So super large, and Control minus is zooming me out. And then if you're like, I don't know what level I'm at, Control 0 gets back to where you want to be. So this is helpful if you're on a website and you're like, oh, the font is too tiny. You can say Control plus, and it makes it easier to read. So you don't have to get out your reading glasses. You can just do Control plus, and up here I can see it's at 150%, or Control minus to zoom out. So these are what I've been teaching, are just simple tips that you do with your keyboard strokes. Control plus or Apple Command plus, Apple Command minus gets you zooming in and zooming out. And let's say you're way down at the bottom and you want to get to the top. And I don't use this very much, but Control L. Wait a minute. Control L. What's next? Yep, I don't know why this is not working. Control L. Maybe it's Control Shift L. Nope, it's not working on this one. I don't use this very often. Let me X out of here. Control L. Nope. Okay, my keyboard might be remapped. So that Control L is not quite working for me on this keyboard, but it might for you. In any case, as I'm teaching these tips, you don't have to memorize all of them. If you get a few tips that makes your life faster, it's going to be better. So Control T, let me get out of here. Control T, as I mentioned, is open a new tab. I just tend to click this little plus sign. And let's come back over to Firefox. I usually click this, but you could say Control T. And Control Home will get you back to Control Home. someone is typing in Control Home does go to the top of the page. But everybody's keyboard is a little bit different, and I've been using my keyboard so long, all the letters are erased, so it's hard for me to remember where something is. All right, so where am I? I want to get back to my PowerPoint. Control Tab, let me show that, and Control W. So I'll show these two. Again, you don't have to memorize this. So Control and the Tab key will switch you between, and I don't use this very often. Oh, wait, Control Tab. So Control Tab will cycle you through the browsers you have. And over here, Control Tab is cycling me through. And if you ever have too many tabs up, just close your tabs. Right? You don't want to, if you wind up with like 50 or 100 tabs, then you're doing way too much multitasking, and also it will slow Firefox down. So just keep the sites up that you need to have up. So don't have too many up. But sometimes you're in the middle of a task and it's time for lunch and you're like, I want to just keep where I was so I don't forget. You go to lunch and you come back. But then it's kind of nice to be like, you know what, I'm just going to start over and close all my tabs. And here to unpin this, I can say unpin, right click, unpin, right click, unpin. All right, let me get back. Those were the browser shortcuts. Control W, I didn't show that. Let me go back. I usually just close this, but Control W will close the tab. And let me come back here to remind you, I'm going to give the link for this in just a little bit. I demoed the browser shortcuts. I did that already. And so now we're going to move on to the last productivity tip, is productivity tip number 5, which is using a password manager. So passwords are hard to remember. It's a pain in the butt. They're hard to remember. Some sites make you change your password. And the solution is to use a password manager that safely stores your passwords online and makes them available for you when you need it very quickly and easily. And here are 3 password managers that I am familiar with: LastPass, RoboForm, and 1Password. And I'm sure there are others. These are the ones I'm familiar with. And the one that I use is LastPass.com, and there is a free version of it. And it stores all your passwords. All you have to remember is one master password. And as you can see, and I've got another screenshot, once you have all your passwords in, then it saves it and gives you this little drop down. So for example, I went to American Airlines to the login screen, and I don't have to remember my password. I just click on these like little dots here and it brings up my login. So it is a really easy way. My life got so much easier once I signed up for LastPass.com, the free version, and even the paid version I think is like $12 a year. It's something really inexpensive. Or it looks here like $3 a month. So what is that a year? 30 bucks. It's not expensive. And it makes logging in a lot easier. So to recap, the 5 productivity tips that I taught today were to use multiple browsers or private windows, incognito browsers, while you're working. Again, if you have a problem with something on one site, you go to the other site. I do it all the time. Maybe I can't log into my bank. I switch to another browser and log in. Use tabbed browsing, so as you're doing a lot of tasks, you can have different browsers up. Bookmark your favorite websites so you don't have to type in facebook.com. You just click and you get to Facebook. Memorize some browser shortcuts. Don't put pressure on yourself to memorize all of them. If you can walk away with a couple of shortcuts that are going to help you, awesome. And then use a password manager. So if you want to get the PDF for this little tip sheet I have, go to websitecreationclass.com/tips-PDF, and that will take you right to the PDF. So this has been my 5 productivity tips for working faster and smarter online. Again, my name is Christina Hills.